Molly.
I'm Alyssa.
And we have a couple guests today from Carilion. So,
I'm Jill Lucas, and I'm the Safe Kids Coordinator for Carilion Children's.
And I'm Brenna Link, and I'm an intern with Carilion Community Health and Outreach.
Awesome. So they're going to be telling us all about infant and kind of convertible as they're growing car seat safety. So we'll let them take it away.
Okay, so for the first question that we have, why would you recommend parents get their car seats checked?
Well, what we see across the nation is that the majority of parents and caregivers who have installed their car seats by themselves are not doing it right. So 80 to 90% of car seats that have been installed by parents and caregivers are not installed correctly. So there's there's just so much to know about it that most parents don't really realize how difficult it is. Mm-hmm. So we always say the biggest thing that you need to do is get your car seat, make sure you get it checked, and get assistance by a certified car seat safety technician.
Perfect. Where can parents do that?
Well, we have a car seat safety check the third Thursday of every single month at Roanoke City Fire Station number 6 in Roanoke City, so you can come by and see us there. You can also contact maybe a local police department or fire department. Sometimes they will have certified technicians, but that's really important. You have to ask, are you a certified technician? So many times we will go to a police department or fire department and we'll say, hey, can you help me with my car seat? And it will be a very well-intentioned person saying, oh yeah, I've had kids, I've had car seats, let me help you. But they really don't know what they're doing either. So it's a pretty intense training and certification process that we have to go through.
Perfect. And if they can't make the car seat safety check event that you guys do, can they set up appointments?
Sure. Yep, they can always give us a call, either at my office or Roanoke City Fire Station. They can call, and then we can try to set up individual appointments as well.
Perfect. All right, so what are some of the top mistakes that you see caregivers make when installing their car seat or putting their baby in the car seat?
Right. So there's two installations that we talk about. First is your child installed in the car seat correctly, and then is the car seat installed in the vehicle correctly? So one of the big things that we see is, again, most parents and caregivers attempt to make sure that the child is in there correctly. But we see the kids come in. One of the first things we're going to do is check their harness system. The harness straps have to be at or below their shoulders. Most car seats have several strap slots. A lot of times they're above their shoulders. And then the other thing that we see is, even though they've connected their harness straps, they're not in there snugly. So you cannot pinch any of the webbing together. So this needs to be so snug that you can't take a fold in that webbing. The other thing is, this is called a chest clip. We call this a chest clip for a reason. It should only ever be at their chest at armpit level, and there should never be any type of twists in the straps. So one of the first things that we'll do, again, is we will make sure that the harness system is correct. We make sure that it's in the right slot, right at or slightly below their shoulders in that rear facing position. Then we want to buckle them in, nothing is twisted, and then we're going to take the harness strap adjuster and we're going to start to pull to where we cannot pinch any of this webbing together. And then again, this is right at armpit level. The other thing that we see a lot of the misuse is we will have all types of padding, really thick shoulder harness paddings, head supports, bundle me's, which is kind of like a little sleeping bag type of apparatus that go in here. You cannot ever add anything to a car seat that did not come with it. So these nice little really thin shoulder harness pads came with this car seat, so you can utilize it, or maybe a body pillow or a head pillow that came with it. But if it did not come with your car seat, you cannot utilize it in this car seat. And the other thing is, especially now in the cold winter time, we don't ever want to bundle around a child. Underneath them, any of that padding, no thick winter jackets or snowsuits, because when they have all of that on and then you put that harness system on them, you think it's tight, but it's not. And upon impact, or even just slamming on your brakes, all of that compresses down, and then again you have way too much slack in your harness system. All right. So then the other misuse we see, so when we get to a car seat, we're going to check to see how the actual car seat is installed. So we're going to grab it, and most of the time when we grab it, the car seat has quite a bit of movement. When it's installed in your vehicle, it should really have no movement at all. So when you grab it at that belt path, we don't want it to move. We want it to be pretty snug, just like the child is snug in the car seat. We want that car seat to be snug. So again, it just kind of depends on your car, your vehicle, what type of locking mechanism you're using, whether you're using the lower anchors or the seat belt to buckle it in. So we want to make sure it's really, really tight and snug. And then the other thing, especially for these rear-facing car seats, is the angle. So rear-facing car seats have to be reclined back at a 45-degree angle. Most car seats will have some type of angle indicator on them. Again, they're all different depending on what type of car seat that you have. But you need to make sure it's reclined back at a 45-degree angle. And this one is at a good 45-degree angle just because this chair right now has a very flat seat. Most vehicle seats, however, are slanted or have a big contour out of them to make them more comfortable for adults. So what happens then is that car seat comes too far in an upright position. Or the other thing that we see is that people will take their front seats and push it all the way against the back of the child safety seat, and it gets that car seat in too far in an upright position. So it has to be back at 45-degree angle, especially for your newborn infants who have no head and neck control. Because if they're too far in an upright position and they have those heavy heads, their heads can come forward and it can actually cut off their airway, and that is not good. So make sure that it is back at that 45-degree angle, and then it's in your car, in your vehicle, and it's nice and tight and snug.
All right, so what are your thoughts on parents going straight to a convertible car seat as opposed to an infant carrier?
Sure.
As far as safety is concerned.
Well, safety-wise, they are both just as safe. They all have to meet the same federal safety standards. The infant carriers, we call them rear-facing only seats, are great. They're convenient. However, they're not real cost-effective because you are only going to utilize this seat up to maybe maximum 1 year of age, probably not even that long. Some of these infant carriers will go anywhere from 25 to 35 pounds. Believe me, you're not going to be able to carry a child around when they're 25 or 35 pounds in that infant carrier. So these you can get for, sometimes the same price or even less. This is going to accommodate a child anywhere from around 5 pounds up to about 65 pounds. So you're going to get 5 to 6 years use out of this car seat versus the infant carriers, you're only going to get about a year's use out of it.
So what is the importance of having a child rear facing in the car?
Right. So the American Academy of Pediatrics now states that we rear face children up to the age of 2, minimum of age of 2. If you can rear face them longer, we definitely want to do that. And the importance of that is children have very heavy heads and big heads. They physically do not grow into their heads or have strong enough ligaments and neck muscles to withstand that whole forward facing kind of whiplash type of effect. So when they are rear facing, the whole back of this child's safety seat protects their head and their neck and their spinal cord. And those are some very important body parts. So we say rear face as long as you can. You need to know what your rear facing weight limits are on your car seats. So you have to read your labels for the weight limits. This car seat actually will rear face up to 50 pounds. So we say rear face till at least the age of 2, a maximum of 50 pounds before you have to turn that child around.
Okay.
So again, it's just one of the most important things that we can utilize. There's several states that are around us that have actually turned their laws, their state laws, in that you have to rear face until they're 2. But
is that a new one for this area?
It is not in Virginia yet. We hope to see it enacted soon, but we're not quite sure when that will happen. But again, there are several states around us. That's why it's so important that they're actually making it a law that parents have to rear face until 2. Right now, it's just a recommendation in the state of Virginia. The statistics are if you turn a child around before the age of 2, they're 5 times more likely to die or be severely injured if you turn them around before the age of 2. So there's just no reason for it.
Yeah, definitely. And what are some of the things that parents add to the car seat or to their own car that are safety hazards?
Well, a lot of times what we see, because they have their kids rear facing, a lot of parents like to have the mirror on the back seat. We do not recommend those because when that mirror is on the back seat of the car, what can happen if the child comes up, they can kind of do a face plant in a crash situation into that mirror, and we don't want that happening. Those mirrors don't have any kind of safety regulations or safety standards. They're just little cheap plastic fasteners. Those can come undone or break, and if that mirror goes flying, it's going to go flying onto the child. And probably the most important reason is that the number one reason crashes occur is because of distracted driving. So if we're driving down the road and looking in our rearview mirror to look at that mirror, to look at the child, we're taking our eyes off the road and we're more likely to be involved in a crash.
Right.
Some of the other things we see are some of the window shades, so like the roller ones, we don't recommend any of those because again, they're usually just connected by cheap plastic connectors or suction cups, and we all know how well suction cups
Yeah.
work.
Not very well.
Yep. And so, and those are heavy. So again, if they pop up and go flying around in the car, it can hit the child or somebody in the car. We talk about any type of projectile in the car.
Mhm.
If you're a person who tends to carry a lot of stuff around in your vehicle, slamming on your brakes, getting involved in a crash situation, all of that stuff goes flying and can harm anybody in the car.
Right.
So we say, keep your car cleaned out or stuff in the trunk or tied down in a cargo area or something like that. So some of the other stuff, again, some other extra padding. You don't want to put any type of extra padding on these. You also don't want to pad underneath the seat. So no heavy, thick seat protectors. The only thing that they say that you can really use is something that is as thin as one ply of a towel. So
Okay.
if you want to protect your seat so it doesn't get dirty or harmed from the bottom of the child safety seat.
Perfect.
So we talk about rear facing longer up to the age of 2 or beyond that. So obviously they're not going to stay in an infant carrier up till the age of 2
Mhm.
or beyond that. And so that's why you're going to have to go with the convertible seat, because this is one that will then rear face to that higher weight limit. And it's called a convertible seat because then once you get to that highest weight limit, at 40 or 50 pounds, depending on your car seat, it converts to a forward facing seat
Mhm.
with that harness system in it. And then you can use it again up, till the child is around 4 or 5 years of age.
Perfect. And then at that point, you'll have to worry about adjusting the straps.
Right,
Because
right.
then they won't be at or below the shoulder.
Right. So anytime we rear face, child safety, the harness straps always have to be at or below their shoulders. And again, we want to make sure that we adjust them. We see a lot of parents come in, they've gotten their brand new baby home in an infant carrier. We see them again at 6, 9 months. We take them out of the car seat and they've never adjusted the harness straps.
Mm.
So they're coming out, halfway down their back or down by their hips. So as their torso grows, you have to make sure that you're adjusting those harness straps to be right at or slightly below their shoulders in that rear facing position.
Mhm.
Forward facing, it's going to be right at or slightly above.
Okay.
So another thing that people typically don't know about car seats is that they do expire. So most car seats will have an average anywhere from 6 to 8 years expiration dates on them. You need to make sure that you locate your manufacturer sticker. It will tell you the date of manufacture. This child safety seat actually has the expiration date on it.
Oh, perfect.
So
And then are they typically on the bottom?
they are, again, every single child safety seat is it's
Different.
someplace different. So, but you really need to utilize those and make sure that you know, because a lot of times if you go on to have other children and it's
Mhm.
beyond the expiration date, it's no longer going to be safe to use. And the other thing too is we have a lot of parents who come in that might have gotten child safety seats from a yard sale or a
Oh, yes.
garage sale.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and we don't recommend that just because we don't know the history, we don't know if it's ever been involved in a crash, we don't know are the instructions with it, does it have all of its working parts, and
Mhm.
and again, is it expired? So we really kind of are really leery about utilizing those types of things. Now, on the other hand, if you just had a baby a couple years ago and you brought a
Mhm.
brand new child safety seat, and your coworker is getting ready to have a baby, and you utilized your infant carrier for a year, you have the instructions, you know it wasn't involved in a crash, are you going to maybe offer that to somebody? Oh, yes. And that, again, that makes sense because car seats can get a little bit expensive.
Right.
So as long as we know the history, we know it's not expired, we know there's no recalls on it, then it would, we would say that it would be safe to use.
Okay. If a car seat is in a crash, a
Mhm.
minor crash, does the car seat have to be replaced?
Sometimes it kind of depends on the manufacturer. You always want to make sure that you read through the instructions and the warranty, but the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration says if it's a minor crash, typically you don't have to. If it was just a little, fender bender or whatever.
Okay.
But if it's a moderate to severe crash, you most definitely want to replace your child safety seat because you don't know what may have happened to it. And that's whether the child is in it or not. So even if your car seat is installed in your car, you've dropped the baby off at
Mhm.
daycare, and then you get involved into a moderate or severe crash, even though the child is not in it, they still recommend that you replace it. And most car insurance companies will reimburse you for that, the replacement of that.
Okay.
So make sure that you keep your receipt so you can turn that in for insurance.
Perfect. Good to know.
Yeah, so again, as you can see, there's so much to a car seat, and every single car seat is different, every single car is different, so we cannot express enough how important it is to come to a car seat safety check. We have multiple technicians there.
Mhm.
We'll spend the time that we need with you and your car seat in your car, educating you on everything that you need to know. It's a free service in the community, so please, please, please make sure that you do this. The big important thing to know too is the hospital will not do this for you. So
Right.
you need to get it done. If you're getting ready to have a baby, you've got to get it done and get it checked.
Beforehand.
Yes, before the baby gets here. And sometimes babies come early, so keep that in mind too.
Mhm.
So again, the third Thursday of every single month, we do car seat safety checks, or you can give us a call at Carilion, or you can call the Roanoke City Fire Station and set up an appointment to see if we can fit you in someplace.
Okay.
The other place we want you to go to get some good information is to our Safe Kids website. So we have all types of safety information about car seats, about home safety, about drowning prevention, falls prevention, all of those things.
Everything.
Yeah, that you need to know about taking care of infants and babies and young children. So, and that website is safekids.org.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
And I will say I've been to a few of the car seat safety
Yes.
checks,
Yep.
and they're super easy, very informational, and because we've been to one doesn't mean that we're not going to go back, because we are going to be changing the location of the car seat. Eventually put ours forward facing, and then for a new baby we'll install the infant carrier too. So I strongly urge everybody to get their car seats checked.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for Buns in the Ovens today, and thanks for Carilion for coming out today to share lots of great information about car seat safety. Make sure you guys subscribe to our Buns in the Ovens newsletter so you can keep getting great information. Thanks.